Hello everyone. In this video, I'd like to delve deeper into the real project financial model. Our next step involves transitioning to the modeling phase, where we will forecast revenue and operating figures. To achieve this, we've carefully considered some specific assumptions. As highlighted in our input worksheet, we've gathered all the assumptions essential for calculating revenue and operating cost figures. The input worksheet, as we have previously discussed, serve as a repository for assumptions. Just like the input of a computer machine, subsequent calculations and other processes would be conducted in separate worksheets, and in this case, it will be our operation worksheet. Looking at the operation worksheet, you would observe that we've already calculated the revenue and cost figures. It's important to know that the figures presented here pertain to a hypothetical project, not an actual live project. And of course, we'll start all over again to model the revenue and operating cost. Now let's go back to the input sheet. As we can see, our revenue model consists of two streams: revenue from ticket passengers and revenue from freight. For ticket passengers, we have two revenue lines: the standard passenger revenue and the first class passenger revenue. The standard passengers are regular passengers who opt for regular class, where basic amenities and standard seating arrangement are provided at a very budget-friendly cost. However, the first class passengers choose a premium experience, meaning they enjoy better comfort, extra legroom, and enhanced services, requiring them to pay a higher cost. And for the purpose of this project, we assume that we've conducted thorough feasibility and real passenger traffic studies. On this note, we estimated the average passenger volume, individuals boarding and disembarking at each station. We've already estimated the average passenger volume of those individuals. We also assume that we have 4 stations, which are Station A, Station B, and Station C, and their respective average passenger volume for passengers boarding the train per trip. The same distributions apply to first-class passengers. We also account for passengers disembarking the train before completing the entire train route for both standard and first-class passengers, thereby factoring in that they won't be paying for the full distance. Our model assumes that there would be 4 trips per day, and each trip is expected to cover a total distance of 125 kilometers. Initially, upon commencement of operation, we expect the train to operate at 80% capacity. However, on an annual basis, we anticipate that passenger capacity would increase by 5% based on demand and peaking at 95%. This is just to ensure that the train's capacity aligns with local demand. To ensure precision of our model, we've incorporated a seasonality factor, considering variations in passenger and goods movement throughout the year. For instance, we expect increased demand during festive period like December and Easter, which is and also Ilaya period, which is Eid al-Kabir. And this leads us to a peak performance not going beyond 120% in our case. On the other hand, we assume that periods with reduced passenger movement may see a dip in performance, leading to seasonality factor going below 100%. We've also introduced a second revenue stream for our project. This additional revenue stream stems from daily freight volume, which we project to be 10,000 tons per trip. Freight revenue refers to the revenue generated from the transportation of goods, or we can say cargo, via the train system. Initially, at the onset of the project, we assume the freight operation to be 60% capacity. However, we anticipate that a 5% increase based on demand would accrue to the freight capacity, reaching a peak of 100%. The seasonality approach extends to the freight revenue stream as well, where we can anticipate varying demand based on specific period. For instance, this is just an example, right? Industries like cement may experience higher demand during the dry season, influencing revenue projection. So in your own, you need you need to figure out when demand for this revenue stream would peak and apply that seasonality in your model. Moving on to pricing, we've set the standard ticket price at $10 per head per station. The first class ticket is priced at $15 per head per station. Additionally, the freight charge is set at $1.50 per head per station. Turning our attention to direct costs and operating expenses, we've made several assumptions. For example, fuel cost, which we assume to be measured per gallon, and we estimated this to be at $25,000 in the first year, $30,000 in the second year, $35,000 in the third year, $40,000 in the fourth year, and $45,000 in the fifth year. Energy efficiency, which is based on passenger miles per gallon, is projected to decrease from 100 passengers to 80 passengers on average over the train's lifespan. Energy efficiency relates to managing or minimizing the expenses associated with the energy consumption of the train, leading to cost savings associated with fuel expense. We've also assumed employee cost to be 10% of revenue, freight commission at 5% of revenue, and other direct costs at 15% of revenue. Please bear in mind that these figures or this model only provide an overview of how costs will be calculated in a typical real project financial model. They serve as a guide to illustrate the modeling process for a real project. With this understanding, our next step is to proceed with the calculation in our financial model. Thank you. See you in our next class.